fun fact about this song.
It's got to be an oldie, though, right? Got to be an oldie.
Well, isn't it? Gotta be.
It's a Sandman, the Rubber Band Man.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Fun fact about this song. This is actually Boo-Ha would know.
I know
if he
a fact of
remembers.
this song.
Well,
T.I. stole this song a little bit.
he sampled it, yeah.
Sampled it.
But for Boo-Ha's sake, this song is the first ever repeat for an opening of FTH. We have opened to this song before.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds great. I'll tell you what.
No, I think that's a blown trivia question. You've definitely opened to other songs before.
Not twice. No.
Yes.
No,
You
sir.
have to.
This is the first time it's been going on.
The first
That
repeat.
was this was a trivia. That was a trivia question before from like
You-
2 years
No,
ago.
no, you can fact check me on that one.
It's
There was
an honor
probably
for
some
Boo-Ha.
it was probably some Doja Cat or like some Marshmallow
Doja Cat.
or some DJ Marshmallow.
Boo-Ha is such a hater of my music taste, bro.
Not
I-
me. I'm always a
I really am.
big fan of yours.
He's a
Shaq,
hater.
you know?
Listen,
I like your taste of music. I have a little better, I think.
Look,
but-
I even give him the soft pull down and everything. What is up, everybody?
oh, I missed that. So
looky, who is here with us tonight, making
Yeah.
his triumphant return? The Prof. What's up, Prof?
I'm here, and if it looks to you like I haven't showered, shaved, or done anything, or got out of this basement for the last 4 or 5 days, it's probably because that's true.
Okay.
I'm looking a little scruff, huh?
Oh, you look good, man. At 6 o'clock, shave, man, looking good.
There is a reason why we can't start this thing until 8:30. There's a reason for that, and that's because the Prof gets no free time until at least 8:30 every single day. Life's a lot different now. Not complaining, enjoy it.
You gotta
But
enjoy it.
I am glad to join you guys here a little bit after 8:30, and looking forward to a shower in about an hour from now, hopefully. So,
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
we're happy to have you back. It's not the same without you. We've been having some fun the last couple weeks, but we had to bring you back on, especially because towards the end of the last pod, we had a lot of conversation about our bets that we got going, right? Earl got introduced to dinner at Mendy's, which
Yeah.
he thought was Denny's.
I
So
thought
that
it was Denny's for sure. No, it was Denny's, yeah, Denny's.
And then apparently, Prof, you're on the hook for breakfast at Denny's for
Yeah, he
with
doesn't
the
know
Eagles.
the one
over.
night, the 6.5 over. Forgot about that with the birds.
That's right. That's right. They're actually looking like they're going to cash in for you there, huh?
I know. I'm really liking them too. Right now.
I would have only remembered that if they lost the last couple games.
But I'll remind you. So they're at what 5 wins. So
Yeah, what do they
more.
need to get to 7?
Yeah, 7. That's what it is. 6.5. You gotta get
Yeah,
over.
dude, the boys are looking pretty good. I gotta
They
give it
are
to
looking
them.
good.
I did not have any hope for them whatsoever, and Hertz he's looking half decent.
He is. He's being the leader right now.
Well, they just played against a scrub team that's beat up, and like, come on, man. I mean, I get it. You got to play the teams that's in front of you. You got to play the players that are on the field with you. But
What are you gonna say next week when they beat the Giants? Gonna say the same thing?
Well, Giants aren't a very good team either,
well, yeah,
though, right?
that's exactly right.
But
that, that's the thing. So like the division has evolved a little bit, and the schedule, as it does every season, changes. So it's like you look at the season on paper every year, and you can count wins and count losses, but as the season evolves, things change. I mean, look at a couple different teams we can talk about. I'm sure we're going to talk about it.
yeah, we're going to get
Certain
all
teams
into that
have
because
evolved.
Prof brings up a good point, and it's something that we look at when we look at games and look at the way they're handicapped throughout a season, right? And it's kind of, you call them schedule wins or losses, right? And we're going to get into all that, plus talk about the Eagles and more. But before we do that, I had something that I wanted to bring up, and I know this will be right up you guys' alley,
All right.
because we were talking MVP last weekend, right? And so for baseball, and now we're on to Hall of Fame talk, right?
All right.
So, but I think Prof may have a bone to pick with the conversation from last week about MVP. Is that right, Prof?
Yeah. Who is
Well, I see. So, as I mentioned, my hectic schedule, I didn't get a chance to fully tune in. So, why don't you just refresh me? If I maybe I did hear some of it.
Yeah.
Why
So
don't you refresh me a little bit?
I didn't take the MVP award away from Shohei Ohtani, but I asked the question.
Oh no! Did you
If-
really?
it would be more deserving of a player like Vlad, whose team almost made the playoffs, was a tough division, the toughest division in baseball, right? And, the Angels weren't a very good team. So the award is not best player in baseball, it's most valuable. I just asked the question.
No, dude, you're far off on that. I mean,
Well, I'm on board with it too, because obviously Shohei had, one of the greatest seasons ever, but
it's actually incredible how many. I mean, between him and Trout now, how many years an Angel has won MVP and they have not sniffed the playoffs.
Yeah,
it's because their ownership and management is inept. It's really bad, and
their fans stink.
Well, that is, I listen, I can't say that's not a factor. And I actually was looking at some of the things that you posted on some of the notes, Jack, and there's a lot of things with that in football too, but I digress. Anyway, that you could tell from the point of the All-Star break that Ohtani was the clear MVP. I mean, it was just going to happen. And it's just amazing, though, that the season that Simeon and Guerrero had, and it's a shame to take that away from them, but for a young guy like Guerrero, you think he's going to be there a couple times, and that happens to young players, right? Like if he was maybe a little bit older, sometimes they give him more of an edge, maybe because he's a veteran, but I think everybody expects him to kind of be there for the next 10 to 15 years. And I mean, we've never seen a player like Ohtani. It's just a fact.
There's no question about it.
Yeah, he was in the home run derby, and then the following night you start the All-Star game, correct?
Yeah, it's unprecedented.
I mean, like right there and then, it's just like this guy's special.
All right, so
I really do hope that it does start a trend with more players being able to do this, because I think there has been over time way more players that are capable of doing this.
That's interesting.
I don't want to take away from what he did this year, because how strenuous it is to do both. I mean, I used to play half of a high school season and my arm was falling off just, playing a couple games a week. I can't imagine what it is to do that and to pitch on top of it. But I think that over time, because of the size of some of these contracts, because of what an asset these players are, I think there have been some players that have probably been talented enough to do it that just have not been given the shot to do it.
Ohtani's not getting paid right now. He's getting paid like $500,000 or something.
But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. When you have
he will get paid, but
when it comes to him getting paid, I think where Nick is going is then the question is, do the Angels as a franchise allow him to do both? Right?
That was the deal. That was the deal. What I remember, they're like how Tani's crew were like, dude, my guy wants to pitch and to hit,
right?
And the Angels like, dude, you can do whatever you want, just come to us. And
well, sure, but when the next contract rolls in for hundreds of millions of dollars guaranteed, right? Then that conversation changes, because how much strain can a player put on his arm and then go out and play a position in the field and then hit, right? Play the day after pitching, becomes too much over the course of a few years. I mean, he had an unprecedented season, but is that something that can really be kept up over the course of 3, 4, 5 years? Probably not.
I think it can, because he can hit. If he throws out his arm, okay, you're DH. Boom, done.
Well, then you're not pitching anymore. But that's the whole point. You're not pitching
out his arm.
Well, you don't want him to throw out his arm.
Well, you're not pitching then.
Well, then he's just DHing. Then he's
first base or right field. I mean, if he can't throw, he can't throw anymore.
Well, that's kind of the point.
It's very unique, and I mean, to be honest, I don't know that he can continue it. I mean, we've seen some of the way that some of these pitchers especially have been treated over the years. I mean, I remember going back, it seems like 10 years ago at this point, when Strasburg was able to pitch, but the Nationals wouldn't let him pitch because he was such an asset, and it didn't pan out for him. I mean, eventually it did. They won their World Series, but it's just like some of these franchises have different opinions on it. And who knows? Who knows if the Angels are going to let him try to do what the fans want him to do?
Right.
I think they're going to keep letting him do that. And we only have one example size, and that's Babe Ruth. How many years did he do it? What, a couple of years? I mean, he had 3 or 4 in Boston. I don't know the exact numbers.
Well, he stopped pitching very early into his career.
So, I mean, there's your example size. There's only one of them. So,
I mean, like going back to like 1920,
1928,
when he was throwing about 80 miles per hour. But I mean, that's all you have to, to look at here. But I think they're going to let him keep doing it because he wants to do it. And how old is he? He's like 23, 24.
Yeah,
he's not old. I mean,
he's 27.
Yeah, I mean, he played some years professionally.
Baseball years.
Yeah. So now that we got the baseball juices flowing, right, I started the pot.
Finally talk about baseball on November 23rd.
Exactly. I stirred the pot up again.
Which hold on. By the way, like what is Major League doing? Why do they wait until weeks after after the World Series to announce it? It's like supposed to be this dramatic rollout. Every night of the week, you get like a new award. It's like, come on, guys, what are we doing? Nobody's paying attention to this. They're trying
to stay relevant during football season, which is their first mistake.
Well, they announced it like right before the football game on like last Thursday.
That's what I mean. They're trying to go head to head with the NFL, which you just don't do.
It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense.
No. So I posted this on Facebook because I heard the talk earlier. Now we're into the Hall of Fame talk, right? And there's a lot of stirring that our favorite third baseman who left here for baseball paradise or baseball heaven, whatever the hell they called it in St. Louis at the time, right? Scotty Rolen, he got a large percentage of votes last year, and it's being kind of thrown around that he might get in this year. So the question that I posed first amongst a 2 or 3 part question was, in your book, is Scott Rolen a Hall of Famer?
I'm saying no, but the reason why he may make the Hall of Fame is because he's not a juicer, in the juice era, right?
Do we?
I mean, there's no evidence of it. I would say no, he hasn't juiced.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know his exact numbers.
I can give them to you. Do you want them?
Sure,
Okay.
Let me hear them.
Scotty Rolen, 17 seasons played, 1997 NL Rookie of the Year, 7-time All-Star, 8 Gold Gloves. He was a career 281 hitter, 368 OBP, both very good. He had just over 2,000 hits, 2,077. He hit 316 home runs, and he hit just under 1,300 RBI.
So did he win a ship with St. Louis?
I believe he did.
Did he? All right, so he got one championship. I mean, there's a big possibility he makes it, but
I don't know if the championship has anything to do with it. I mean,
it helps.
The way that I see Scott Rolen was the original. I want to say the original Nolan Arenado. That's how I look at him. That's how I see him as a player, right? Like he's gonna now listen. Arenado, I'll give it to him. He's got better power numbers, probably. I think he's probably got a little bit to catch up to Rolen as far as overall home runs. Slugging percentage wise, I think they're very similar.
We're also talking about the Colorado effect too. You have to remember.
Right. It's hard to factor in. I'm not going to hold that against Arenado, but honestly, I look at it from a defensive perspective. They're very similar players. Scott Rolen was the best defensive third baseman for a decade.
He was.
At least.
No doubt about it. Yes.
And that's something that doesn't get factored in as much. And I think that it should for players of the previous generation, maybe more so than this generation. I mean, that's just me. Maybe that's me just being nostalgic and just, the defensive side of the game always, spoke to me a little bit more than the home runs and all that. But as far as I'm concerned, he was the best third baseman of that generation. Yes, you can say Chipper Jones, but Chipper Jones was more of an offensive third baseman, and I would give obviously Chipper Jones the edge on Scott Rolen. But I think that the defense isn't factored in enough.
Okay, so then there's 2 things there to dissect, right? I think one, defense isn't taken into account as much these days because teams and the way the teams are built, right? Thanks to Moneyball and that sort of analytics, doesn't place a premium on defense anymore, right? If you can get on base, you're going to find a spot for you on the field. If it's third base or if it's center field or if it doesn't matter, right? So we know that philosophy. So I sort of tend to agree with you. Now, I think that has evolved over time because, when we talk about the next guy, we're going to compare him to at what I like to term the premium defensive positions, right? Or the next guy we're going to talk about. In the past, in the 80s and 70s, right, it seemed that defense was even more of a premium, right, until we got into like the 90s and 2000s, which became sort of the offensive eras of baseball, right? But all that wrapped up and said, at the end of the day, for you, Nick, is Scott Rolen a Hall of Famer?
I'd say probably not.
Eric,
Probably
you
not.
say no?
I mean, who else is on the ballot? I mean, you said J-Roll. I would say, J-Roll won an MVP. Scott Rolen never did.
Well, do you want me? Okay, so speaking of that, while we talk about it, so Jimmy Rollins, the conversation now has come up to Jimmy.
I would say put Barry Bonds in. He deserves it.
Do you want it? You want me to? I can give you Jimmy's numbers for comparison if you want.
Yeah,
okay,
so let's hear it.
So
let's
Jimmy,
show the viewers some
played the same amount of seasons, 17 seasons.
Really.
3-time All-Star for J-Roll. 2007 NL MVP, as Earl alluded to, 4 Gold Gloves. Now, Jimmy's a career 264 hitter with a 324 OBP, which is not great. He has 2,455 hits, 231 home runs, and 936 RBIs. Jimmy also stole 470 bases.
Okay. Well, it sounded like Scott Rolen has a good chance.
Well, they play different positions, right? Jimmy plays
third,
a premium defensive position. Third base is not considered that, but it's still important.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think Eric, I don't know if he knows it or not, but he makes a good point. I mean, you do have to look at who's on the ballot with him.
Agreed.
And I think there's a case to be made for him. There certainly is. In my estimation, when you say the name of a player and you say, should they be a Hall of Famer? I think it should be an automatic yes to be an actual Hall of Famer. I mean,
yeah, we've talked about that before, right? And I agree with you.
Yeah. And so, I mean, just for that fact, I don't think that Rolen is.
And I agree, but here's where I'm coming from. I say no. I think Rolen is in the Hall very good, right? And I think all three of us are sort of agreeing with that. But I will tell you that I do think he's going to get in. So that's my official stamp on it.
Interesting.
It sounds like he has a better odds than J-Roll has. At least what it sounds like.
It does.
281's better than 264 or whatever.
Now, there's a lot of stirring.
He got on base more than he did.
Well, and just looking at the ballot right now, and before I said that, just looking at the ballot to Eric's point and then back to Jack's point, it's about who's on the ballot, right? So just looking at some guys on here that they're not going to get in because of the steroid thing, right? So Barry Bonds, Clemens,
Pete Rose,
Andy Pettit, Sammy Sosa, Ramirez, they're on the ballot. So
right.
Just looking at the names, I didn't even factor that side of it in. Just like that's
a reason why there's a lot of talk that Scotty is going to get in.
Yeah.
Also,
he is.
Interesting. Last thing I'll bring up on this, something to think about for just that I threw in with the Jimmy Rollins thing is, does anybody from the Phillies World Series team get in the Hall of Fame?
Cole Hamels for sure has got to get in. I mean, he's still playing, right?
Hall of Fame?
Cole Hamels?
Cole Hamels is not going to get in the Hall.
Cole Hamels is not going to make the Hall of Fame.
Oh, he was my favorite, man.
He does not have Hall of Fame
Cole.
numbers.
I changed slightly then.
No.
Well, all right. I'll go one more then. Ryan Howard.
No.
They're all not making it, huh?
Nope.
Shit. How about Charlie Manuel, the manager? Come on.
He's making it. Actually, he probably will make it.
Fourth
Yes.
time the charm here.
Yeah, he probably will. That's actually a good pull. So the last thing on this that I was going to before I said that. So this is Kurt Schilling's last year on the ballot.
Yeah, it's a shame.
And I mean, I don't think any of us think he's going to get in. Right?
He didn't do any steroids. He just talks a bunch of shit about politics and stupid stuff all the time.
And sports writers don't really like Kurt.
Yeah, it's all the sports writers, man. It's like Scott Rolen's a guy like, oh, you know what? He's a stand-up guy.
Yes.
You like him. He fits the bill who they would like to have in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm like, okay, maybe more I talk about it, the more I'm liking Scott Rolen in.
I brought you to my side, right?
The more I talked about it,
believe me, I hope he is. I really do. He's my
I
favorite.
think so.
He's my favorite player of all time.
Scott
Scotty
Rolen?
R.
Scott Rolen is my
Now,
favorite.
did you
baseball
like
player of all
JD
time.
Phillies
Drew more than him?
dissenter, man.
JD Drew? Did you like him more?
Drew.
I
JD
hated
Drew.
him. I hated JD Drew.
No,
Yeah, that was a
but,
interesting time
So
for the
Bobby
Phillies.
Abreu is on the ballot, and he's a more interesting
Like,
question.
that is.
Because when you actually look at numbers and you boil things down,
His
to
numbers are
his
incredible.
amazing.
Bobby Abreu's numbers are incredible.
I just remember that one time the home run derby, and he hits like 20 home runs,
he went
more
crazy.
than I don't
So
know. Exactly,
I'm pretty
but
sure
he had
that
a
Eric
big-
only watches the home run derby.
That's what it sounds like.
He's
doesn't
mentioned the home run derby.
I
at least
mean,
4
there's
times
one
so
home
far.
run derby a year. There's 162 of these damn games. I remember the home run derbies. I mean,
it? Cahill says he loves Bobby Abreu for the Hall of Fame. If I remember correctly,
nah, bring him in.
I
like
used to
him.
argue with Bob Cahill all the time about how much I thought Bobby Abreu was like just a hollow numbers guy on those Philly teams because he filled it up every year. He was like 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, right? You know,
What are you saying? You had garbage time,
yeah, that is what I'm
average.
saying. Yeah,
It's
but
just like, how's that possible?
But if you look at the entire time he played in Philadelphia, the entire time was garbage time.
yeah, the Phillies
Yeah.
stunk.
Those were
because
the
Phillies
worst
stunk.
teams ever. You
Yeah, they
could go
stunk.
down there and you could go down there for $2 and buy a ticket.
100%.
could.
Yeah, those teams were so bad.
They were trying
Oh,
to get you in
God.
that damn stadium.
Cahill
too.
says Abreu's underrated. Yeah, he might be. He might be.
Probably.
But unfortunately,
I like him.
for me, and this is the one, we'll move on to football now because I know we got a lot to cover for football. But for me, I think Kurt Schilling is a Hall of Famer, right? I
Oh,
think
yeah.
100%.
yes, but it's a
100%.
shame that he's not going to get in because of sports writers. And then the other name that I'll throw out there, see, I'm going to keep doing this. We could do this forever. Jeff Kent, right? He's another guy who just has unquestionably Hall of Fame numbers and, never directly got tied into steroids to Eric's point before about Scott Rolen, right?
Yeah,
He played in the era, so you never know. But again, just a guy that sports writers can't stand. So
He was the best power hitting second baseman of all time.
by far. I agree. Bob says Kurt needs to be in.
But
Kurt needs to be in.
I
but
think Chase Utley
ain't
had a
gonna
little more
happen.
pop than he did, though.
well, if Chase Utley could have kept up his
No.
4-year run for 10
No,
years,
Jeff-
then maybe.
Jeff Ken has an MVP. I
does.
factor the MVP a lot. That's
Yeah,
why
oh,
I
yeah,
think,
absolutely.
That's why I think Jimmy Rollins, and talk about defense. Talk about being great on defense.
Oh, Jimmy
Jimmy
Rollins
Rollins
was the
the
best
best of the
shortstop in the
best.
National League for 10 years.
And so I think
Defensively.
Rollins has a better shot than I think Jimmy Rollins has a better shot than Scott Rolen for sure.
Wow, that's a hot take, actually. See, I disagree with that. I think Scott
No, I
Rolen
think
is
he does. I
in.
think
I mean,
he's
Scott
got an
Jimmy may be more
MVP.
deserving, but I think Roland gets in.
No, so Jimmy, you have to factor the MVP, man. That's a big deal.
Sports writers do love the MVP. I mean, they vote for it, right?
I think
So,
it is. I think it
I
is.
think they both get in. How about that? That's what I'm voting for.
That's
hope so.
possible
They
too.
both get in.
That's possible.
Would love it.
It's possible with love.
Does Roland
this-
go? Does
this
Roland go in
version-
as a Philly?
If they sports writers
Okay.
know you're involved in anything, you're
This is our first baseball pod in
Yeah.
3
Fun
years.
fact.
we got our guy that knows.
I know.
We got our baseball guy.
Well,
on
another
now.
fun fact about old Scotty Roland, you know that he played more seasons as a Philly than any other team. He played 7 in a Phillies uniform. He only played 6 for the Cardinals.
So next question
He'll
is:
still-
Is he going down?
He's
as a
going
Philly?
in as
No
a red
way.
bird.
He
He's
hates
going in as a
Philly.
red bird. He hates the Phillies. He hates
yeah,
Philly.
He hates Philly. What do you think?
Hated his time here too.
Jimmy will go in as a White Sox.
Or a Dodger.
Before he goes in as a Philly.
All right, so let's move on to some football. I want to cover college briefly because we talked about that last week.
Oh, boy.
Just kind of a couple things we got to cover. I know Eric knows what's coming. Before we get into NFL, I want to cover NFL games last week, and then we're going to cover the Thanksgiving games that we have coming up in 2 days here, right? So starting in college, the big game last week was Ohio State, number 4, versus number 7, Michigan State. And Eric and I got to talking about that game, right? And this is sort of a lesson in odds making, right? We talked about that line and how that line was very large, much larger than we expected it to be. Well, Ohio State comes out and decimates Michigan State. I wrote this down specifically for comparison because it's mind-blowing. Ohio State was beating Michigan State 49-0 at halftime, right? Now that's number 4 against number 7 in the nation. You know what other game was 49-0 at half last week? Georgia over Charleston Southern.
I know that's how bad it was.
That's how bad that was.
I mean, I saw that game, and then I'm like, how come I didn't bet the Arkansas and Alabama game? they actually covered.
Well, Arkansas played very well.
Yeah, and I'm like, how come Michigan State couldn't do that? And they were talking on the radio today, dude. They're just a tier 2, tier 3 team. They'll never get in that upper like that.
I mean, that was
they'll never have a chance in the national championship.
Embarrassing.
Yeah,
that was embarrassing.
I thought they were playing the night game. You know, I turn on the college football at like 1:30, 2 o'clock. I'm like fuck. I'm like, and I put the bet in late, man. And I'm like, I talked myself into it. And I woke up. Well, I didn't wake up, but
what made you think that?
That was a bad idea.
What made you think that?
They were just,
he liked that line. He liked the points he was getting.
You know,
it went off at 19
and a half.
9-1.
It just looked like I think they're going to cover, and plus I don't know shit about NCAA college football, so I think next time when I'm going to bet college football, I'll just do the opposite.
Yeah, well, you just listen to me. When you told me what that
you got me.
Yeah, when you told me what that line was, I said, well, then I'm taking Ohio State, right? And I'm going to lay the points because
let's just listen to Jack.
Yeah, so we're seasoned. Prof and I are seasoned at reading these lines, right? Yeah. What does the line tell us? And when you told me that was 19.5, that told me Ohio State all day.
Yeah, they're going to beat their
ass. So what I'm really looking forward to is Ohio State and Michigan on this Saturday. Yes. That's going to be a big deal. And like this is like the Big Ten is so crazy, man, because it's so top heavy on the East side. I feel like
always every year
it is. So
every year.
So I mean, in addition to my plans to expand the national tournament, like why don't they expand how these conference tournaments
are split? Yeah, I mean, because, I think
why you can even
free skate every year, right?
You can pull the top 3 from each division, right? Like, why can't you just do that and just have a couple weeks and play? You could probably play. I don't know. How's that work out? You could probably do 2 weeks.
Yeah, probably
3 weeks.
Yeah, you probably could.
But like, it's so different because you're going to have Ohio State and Wisconsin probably.
Yes,
and Ohio State's going to destroy them.
Yeah, because Wisconsin gets to sit on the other side of the conference, right? And they get to beat up on Iowa and Missouri, right? And whilst Ohio State plays Michigan State, Michigan, Penn State, which is the 4 best teams in the conference every year, right?
Well, Penn State sucks.
Penn State, well,
who got fired, or did their coach get fired? What did I hear?
No, he just got an extension. He just signed for like 10 years.
He got an extension. I heard I heard his name. I'm like,
yeah, he just signed an extension.
No,
because he can recruit really well.
Well, we talked last week. The reason they wanted to lock this up because since they're having such a down year, there are a lot of jobs, high-profile jobs available now in college.
They're talking about going to
USC, LSU, and his name was at the top of all those lists. So I'm sure that the AD and everybody at Penn State wanted to make sure that they locked him in, and they did.
Yeah, he likes Penn State. He likes that.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, honestly, like outside of Wisconsin and Iowa on the West, which we know what Wisconsin and Iowa are going to be every single year.
Yep,
like, they're the same team every single year. Every single year.
Yeah.
Like the 4 teams in the East, you could say that they're legit contenders at the beginning of every year.
Yes.
Right? And it just seems like that for the last
since they did the playoff. Since the playoff has been going on, right?
So it's got to change, man. It's got to change a little bit. It's
all recruiting. You know, all the big top guys, the 5 blue chip guys are going to Alabama and Georgia. I mean, that's just what they do, and the rest of the crop goes to Iowa, Penn State, and Michigan State. And that's just how it is. That's why Michigan State will never be in that tier.
Well, and that's Jack. What have I been saying for the last 3 years?
Well, that's why we need to expand the college football playoff system, right? Because
they're still gonna get their
it's gonna, but at least the guys are getting there. At least you're getting a chance to play for it.
I agree. I would love to see.
You get 2 SEC teams every single year. You know, we talked about this last week, and I'll bring it up again. So now, Oregon, of course, that was another shaky game that we talked about, right? Oregon playing Utah. Oregon's number 3 in the country, but they're touchdown. Well, I think it went off at like 6.5, but either way, 6-7 point dogs.
Yeah, that was a close
to
one,
Utah.
Right?
No, Utah beat their ass.
Yeah, they won.
Utah won. So now Oregon out of the top 4. So now you've got your usual suspects.
Is Cincinnati sneaking in?
Well,
right? They won.
Cincinnati.
They're undefeated.
Cincinnati won. Yeah, no, you're right. But now what we're talking about for Georgia and Alabama, right? They're going to play in the SEC championship, but if Bama beats Georgia, they're both still going anyway.
Yeah, they better.
The question becomes, if Alabama loses, are they still going to go? Is a 2-loss Bama team still going to go?
Yeah, they got the hardest schedule, and they have the biggest market. People want to watch Alabama play.
So then we could just cancel the SEC championship, right? It doesn't even matter. Doesn't matter who wins it because they're both going to the playoff. Is that what we're saying?
You get a trophy for winning it, but I mean, they're still going into the final tournament. You got a trophy on the line.
Prof, what do you think? You think if Bama loses to Georgia in the SEC
it?
championship, do you think they still go to the playoff?
I think there's a good chance. I do.
They're the number 1, number 2 team in the country. Why would they not be in?
Well, right now Ohio State's 2. Ohio State jumped Bama, but they're 1
whatever.
and 3. Right.
It would probably be Georgia. Georgia's obviously in.
Even if Georgia loses, they're going. So that they don't have anything to worry about. If they lose to Bama, they're still going.
Ohio State's going.
Ohio State's going. Well, unless Michigan beats them,
which that's not going to happen.
Probably not.
I think Cincinnati's going to sneak in there.
Then you have Oklahoma. You have Oklahoma. You have Oklahoma State at 10-1. I mean, it's a little bit of a mess. I kind of like it.
It is nice this year because I think the 4 spot is really up for grabs this year.
So, but here's the problem. Everybody wants Cincinnati to get in, and it's just not going to happen.
Oh, why? I said it 2 times. Well,
no,
everybody wants them. Is that
no. Listen, it's not just you. Everybody wants them to get in. They've been sitting on that 5 spot for how long?
Right. Get their ass
and there's a reason that they're just sitting on that 5 spot because they had a big win. They had it earlier in the season, and there's nothing else. There's nothing else coming down the line.
Yeah, because they have nothing left on their schedule.
They're not even playing Houston. They don't even have Houston on the schedule, who's the only other. They're 10-1,
right?
Them in the
but they
AFC.
Will play them. They should play them for their conference championship, right?
Yeah,
that will be the
they
game.
Will, and they should beat them. I mean, it's really tough because Oregon messed everything up.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase it. Oregon made everything fun.
Oregon, right? Yeah. Oregon fixed everything because Oregon could have been that team to hang in there.
But this is the problem.
They're in the Pac-12 and they stink, but they did beat Ohio State to open the season.
This is the gift and the curse of college football, where it's like everybody wants to do their favorite teams. They want to do their standings, their rankings all year. But then when somebody doesn't get in, it's like, well, you just screwed a team out of playing. And I will keep coming back to it every time we talk about college football, but it's got to open up a little bit.
8 teams. 8's the number. We need 8.
Well, here's my prediction. So whoever wins the SEC championship game, they'll be number 1, and whoever loses will be 4. 100%. They'll be 4.
So you think even a 2-loss Bama team,
they still go in. And then the 2 or 3, or they could be the 3rd.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because if they do that, okay, this is actually a dynamic I want to dive into. If they make, if whoever loses that, if it winds up that they go 1 and 4, then they're just going to play the first playoff game because 1 plays 4. So literally they'll play each other back to back.
See, so they'll make them a 3 seed. Whoever loses that game will be the 3rd seed.
They're not gonna do that.
I mean, well,
if here's
Georgia
the thing.
Loses,
but let's play it out this way because I think it's the best way this could happen. Georgia wins. They're number 1.
There's no way Alabama's going.
If Alabama loses and still gets in with 2 losses, they can't be higher than the 4, right?
But they
This
can.
might be
the strength of schedule. They can.
This might be the best case scenario for Cincinnati.
Yes,
it might be the best cases. It might be the best case scenario for Cincinnati because
Cincinnati.
If they confuse enough people, they might just be dumb enough to put Cincinnati in.
Cincinnati needs Georgia to beat Alabama because if Alabama beats Georgia, you have 2 spots guaranteed taken SEC. If Bama gets their second loss, now that's up for conversation.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is inevitably Alabama will win the SEC championship.
Inevitably, Alabama will win the championship because there's no Clemson around this year. By the way, another crazy happening, Clemson blew up the ACC last week, right? Because they beat Wake Forest, who seemed to be the best team running away with that league, right? And Clemson started the year really poorly. Clemson came out last week, beat them. So now That conference is all up in the air. It's kind of a wild year in these conferences.
It's a best case scenario for Cincinnati when everybody's beating up everybody else.
Exactly, because you're getting all these major conference teams with 2 and 3 losses.
It's not. It's probably not. It's probably not going to happen for them, but it would be. I mean, it would be fun to see, and they'd go in and they'd play Georgia first round, and then they would get decimated. It wouldn't be. It would be so boring.
Well, it's one of those things where you have to see it happen, right? I mean, or yeah, I agree with you, Nick, that I think they will get blown out, but
at some point
we don't know unless we see it. That's why you play the games.
Yes, agree with Eric. And at some point they did earn it, right?
I mean, they played who they had in
they won every game.
I want teams like Cincinnati in, but I want the whole tournament opened up so that there's games, buys for the 1 and 2, and you have some playing games to eventually work your way up. I don't know.
So what? 6 or 12 or what? Or 8?
I say 8.
8.
Prop one's 12.
I've always said 12 from the beginning.
Prop one's 12. I want 8.
Yeah.
I've said 12.
We're going to have – so every year, this is like a tradition on From the Hill.
You got to talk about it, man. You got to talk about it.
After the conference championship games, and then when the 4 come up, this is when Prof and I get all the lists back from all the teams, and then we start going through our debate every single year. Should it be 8? Should it be 12? Who would be in, right? And then we have fun. So we're definitely going to have that pod.
Well, one thing real quick, but the one guy, I think the Texas Tech coach, he's like, dude, it's not rocket science. Like, they do it in Texas high school football. Like, they do it. They make a big tournament or check out Division I AA. Like, they do it. It's like, it's not some crazy formula. Like, how do we do this?
Yeah.
Like, high school does it. Division I AA does it. Have a tournament. Like they make these tournaments.
Yeah.
But NCAA Division I, they're like, no, we got to be different.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You're
not wrong.
The one coach from Texas Tech was getting all into it. It's like a viral thing he was talking about.
That was from Washington State, but I know who you're talking about, Mike Leach.
Who am I talking about?
Mike Leach.
Yeah, Leach. Yeah, that's the guy.
He's a FTH favorite. We love Mike Leach
stud.
on this program.
I probably heard it from you, Boo-ha.
We have quoted Mike Leach many a time on here. We love Mike Leach.
That's probably where I learned it from.
That's our guy.
So I just came to me and I said it. So anyway.
All right, let's get into some NFL, boys, because I want to get everybody's thoughts on Thanksgiving. I want to recap some games from last week and just get thoughts. Obviously, I'm going to start right here in Philly. Eagles, impressive win over the Saints. We talked about it last week. They came out and did the job. But the real question now, I have to eat a little crow because I have been super critical of Jalen Hurts. But now it's 2 games in a row that he is looking the part. And they looked good. Now, obviously, the Saints, we talked about how depleted they were on offense, but their defense wasn't. And the Eagles came out from the gun and just destroyed them, jumped down their throats, and made it so they can never come back. Now there's 2 questions. 1, are you guys more sold on Jalen now than you were before? And 2, do the Eagles make the playoffs now?
You want to go, Nick?
Well, I mean, it's an opened up playoff now, right? It's opened up to other teams.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you look at the in the hunt graphic, everybody's kind of there. So I mean, how many division games have we had so far?
Well, we have
we play
the Giants twice still, right? We haven't played the Giants yet. We played
the football team twice.
We had the football team twice still. We only played the Cowboys.
Yeah, so we haven't had any division games yet.
Just the Cowboys, and
that's a tough thing
those divisional games.
That's a tough thing to predict. Now, do I like where we're at? Absolutely, because I think that the Giants are 2 winnable games. I think the Washington football team are 2 winnable games. I mean,
the Jets are.
Those are 3 teams: Eagles, Giants, and Redskins football team.
Do it. Call them Redskins.
Call them the Skins.
They're all very similar teams.
Well, I think the only difference is Daniel Jones stinks.
He didn't look good last night. They fired Jason Garrett.
Stinks. Daniel Jones stinks. That I think is the only difference.
No, the offensive coordinator
also
stinks, and they fired that bum.
Washington is a really disappointing team this year, right?
They won 2 games in a row. They beat Tampa. They beat Carolina
to win the division.
One of my picks, Carolina. Not Carolina football team.
Yeah, they were picked to win the division, though.
Yeah, I picked them to win the division.
That's what I'm saying, and they're underperforming.
But so I would say I'm not surprised though. I mean, let's just say they split with the football team and Giants. Oh, that's two more.
So that puts them at 6 and 7.
Yeah, okay. And the Giants might already have it in the bag, so we can beat the Giants on week 17?
No, we play the Cowboys.
Or week 18.
Game.
Is that 18?
Yeah.
18. And the Jets were going to win. So, we're going to win
so
4 of those out of 6 games,
right?
Given the split.
So the question becomes, and what could happen in the Eagles' favor as well is if the Eagles, because they play the Cowboys the last game of the season, but the Cowboys are probably going to have the division locked up by then, not need the game, and then the Eagles could coast. And if the Eagles get there at 8-8, which to Eric's point is more than possible, they could win that, get to 9-8, and sneak in.
And when they win those 9 games, I'm like, boo-ha, dinner at Denny's, baby. Come on,
dinner at Denny's.
Dinner at Denny's.
They even serve
that
dinner
makes
at
a lot
Denny's?
of sense.
No, but so
I don't know.
We're in the realm of we're looking at the Rams, 49ers, Vikings.
Well, the Rams are nothing special.
Vikings, Saints, and even the Panthers are still hanging around.
Sure. Well, the Panthers started hot. Yeah.
Like we have the same record as the Panthers.
Yep.
So I mean, it's really difficult, but I do agree with Eric. I mean, the schedule looks in our favor. It really does.
Definitely. I mean, this is a big week, right? They need to stay up high, and they can't lose to a divisional opponent. That's key. Like, they got to beat the Giants this week.
Let's look at some of the other. All right, so 49ers, they have I guess
as long as the Eagles go into Meadowlands, just do what they're doing, just run the football, do the
49ers have.
I mean, the one thing I love is Mailata. Mailata was a savage. I went to the game Sunday, dude. I just watching this guy. He's so
playing
physical.
Really well.
He's just killing it.
Yeah, he's playing really well.
I mean, Landon Dickerson. They thought he was a bad pick. He's been killing it. They're just out physically beating up teams right now.
Yeah,
Run
they are.
Football, and I love it. I mean, that's what they call smash mouth football.
Yeah,
I like it. What do you think, Buha?
Yeah,
I like it.
I'm
looking at some of the schedules here. I mean, some of the schedules. The 49ers have a nifty schedule. I mean, they play the Vikings, which I don't think anybody wants to play the Vikings at this point. The Vikings have been playing well. The Seahawks stink. The Seahawks.
Let's recap some games as Buha's running through that, because we can talk about where teams stand. Right.
So big picks this week.
Right. Last week. So the Cardinals with Colt McCoy over the Seahawks.
I was loving them.
And I mean, they pretty much put the Seahawks into the coffin, because the Seahawks are 3-7 now. Their season's done.
Yeah, they stink.
Cards moved to 9-2, best record in football. So the Cardinals are a team you got to watch for. So the Chiefs beat the Cowboys to get themselves back on track, but that doesn't really surprise me. And I'm not going to read too much into that for the Cowboys. Cowboys are a little banged up, but I still think the Cowboys are probably one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the NFC, right?
The Cowboys are by far the class of the division, as much as it pains you to say it, but you don't want to play them in this division.
Well, right, exactly. And the Chiefs needed that game. The Cowboys did not need that game. So that to me was like kind of a schedule game.
And they're coming up on their Thanksgiving.
Exactly. They got big Thanksgiving this week. So that was easily a game that the Cowboys could lose, and they're fine with it. The Texans upset the Titans, but again, to me, that's just an overlook game from the Titans, right? That's a divisional opponent. The Texans really wanted that game. The Titans could care less, because the Titans got the Patriots this week, and that's for close to AFC supremacy, right? That's a big game. The Texans are whatever. They get their win against.
It's surprising.
Whatever.
It's really it's surprising how hard it is to sweep a shitty team in your division.
It's very hard.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how or why.
Look at the Jags and Bills.
Because at the end of the day, Buha, these are NFL teams, right? And they have NFL players, and they play each other so much in the division that it's very difficult to do that. And again, we talk about this all the time, what we were alluding to at the beginning of the pod, where there are games that you look at the beginning of the season, right? Like if you're a Titans fan, at the beginning of the season, when you're running through your schedule, you go, okay, Texans 2-0, right? But when the season progresses and the Titans are coming off 2 big wins in a row, and they have the Texans coming in who are just, complete dog water, and then they have another big game the next week, it's very easy for the team to overlook the Texans and end up happening what happened last weekend, and that's what happens.
Well, one more thing about the Titans. You know who took the blame for that loss? The Titans? Adrian Peterson did. He's cut.
I know.
Cut. They lost. You're out of here,
cut
buddy.
AP.
Thanks
that
for the 3 games.
Over.
Yeah, the experiment's over. So he took it in the chin with that loss.
Yeah, they did cut AP.
They blamed it on him, which is a shame. I love that guy, but
But the AFC is.
Well, the Bills are so inconsistent.
Well, the
but
Bills
the
are very
AFC
inconsistent.
the AFC is so much better than the NFC.
You think?
I don't think so. I disagree.
You think so?
I think the top of the NFC is better.
So who's the best team?
I don't know. I think they're playing more crappy NFC teams.
Really?
I don't know. You have look at the North. I mean, they're all stacked up. They're all 7-3, 6-4, 5-4, and 6-5.
Well, that's probably the best division in football.
The same thing with the West: 7-4, 6-4, 5-5, 5-5.
Yeah, but they also have the worst division in football, the South. Although the Colts are not looking too bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they have the bottom two teams, the Texans and the Jags, but even the East is looking decent, like 7-4, 6-4.
The Jets stink. The Dolphins stink.
Well, no, the Dolphins won 3 in a row, man.
Yeah, they still stink.
But you got to win the games. You got to win. I mean, I'm just saying, like, just looking at how
we had this question last week, Prof. I gave it to Earl. Who are your 3 best teams in the AFC? Or give me your top 4 teams in the AFC.
Honestly, I think the Patriots are there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I said last week too. Patriots.
And you think the Chiefs aren't going to round into form?
Well, we said we're waiting for the Chiefs. So now Chiefs, you got Patriots. Got to keep the Ravens in there, right?
Yeah, I mean.
And then is it what? Titans?
Yeah, the Titans
are
tough.
Like the Titans, though, man.
The Titans are a tough team, man. I mean, what don't they have?
They don't have.
They don't have Derrick Henry.
I was gonna say they don't have King Henry.
Yeah, that's
I know.
The worst team
I understand that, but they also have a win or two without him, don't they?
Yeah, no, they do. 100%.
They still got their quarterback. I guess that's all you really need is a quarterback.
I mean, Ryan Tannehill, I think he is what he is, but he's been playing for the last 2 years. He's been playing above
Yeah, he's a good game manager.
He certainly has.
Mike Vrabel's a really good coach. Bill Belichick's a good coach.
I don't know. Do you trust somebody like the Titans less than the Cardinals? I don't trust them.
Well, to me, they're the same teams, only a little different. So the Titans, to me, are a team that we've watched like make the AFC Championship every year, or like make the divisional round and then lose. That's what I expect them to do this year. Like, I don't have any faith in the Titans.
But here's your problem with that is you're looking at the division, and that's why they get there every year.
Yeah,
that division is poop every year, and now it still is this year, but that doesn't mean that they might be a different team than
maybe. But for me, they're not, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, we looked at our top 4 teams right now. Let's line them up in an AFC Championship scenario. Who you taking, Chiefs or Titans?
Chiefs.
Who you taking, Patriots or Titans?
Maybe the Pats, man. What do you think?
Who you taking, Ravens or Titans?
Ravens.
Well, there you go. So that's what I'm saying. You have no faith in the Titans in an AFC Championship game over any of those 3 AFC teams.
Because that's a learned pattern. I mean, you learned that for years, and I get that. I understand it. No, you don't expect them to win, but I mean, I think they've been playing like a different team than the division-winning teams of the years past. I feel like they're a little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah, but like Al Pacino says. And the longest, any given Sunday, man. It's
absolutely
shows up whoever shows up, man. It's like you've seen already this year. Like,
I mean,
the Texans beat the Titans. Jags beat the Bills.
Do you have these written down?
You never know. So I could be saying I don't like the Titans. The Titans could fucking do it.
Well, listen, I mean, nobody. My
opinion is no, they're not going to win. But I'm could be wrong.
No team goes through a season winless.
CYOA.
Speaking of,
cover your own ass. Like I just covered it.
Let's talk about Thanksgiving games. So, first game we got the Bears at the Lions. This is a toilet
Lions, baby, all the way.
Well, so Earl's a good straight man. So the Bears are -3 at Detroit, but a lot of people like the Lions here to get their first win. We're going around the horn. I see Earl's already taking the Lions. Prof, who you like? You don't have to stick with it.
Fool's gold, man. I think everybody's going to get on that train. Andy Dalton's going to go into Detroit and win a game.
Red Rifle,
the
Bears.
Red Rocket. He's starting, huh? What happened to Fields? He could have hanged.
The Red Rifle.
His ribs are messed up, man.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. You got a shitty offense. Well, that's what happens when we have Jason Peters as your left tackle.
Pound the Bears on this one.
Well, the one thing that the Lions do have, they have DeAndre Swift, and that's about it. But they have a good running back.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're playing with a backup quarterback too, right?
Oh, wait, so what do you guys? So you guys got the Bears, I got the Lions. Someone's got to go the other way. At least one of us is going to win.
I'm going to take the Lions as well, outright.
Really?
Wow.
I'm going to take the Lions. I didn't want to do it because there's so much talk about everybody going to the Lions, but I'm taking the Lions outright.
Boo-Ha's got the Bears, I hope.
Who has got the Bears?
I'm throwing it all on the Bears.
If you went Lions, I was switching.
Game number 2.
The Lions are starting Tim Boyle.
That's right. Old Tim Boyle, old reliable.
All right, maybe I'll make a bet later on without you guys knowing, and I'll bet on the Bears.
That's not how this works.
All right, I'm sticking with the Lions. Shit.
Be careful how you spend that $5.
That's right.
What do you mean, man? I do like $40, $50 bets, man. This
Game number
stinks.
2, Thanksgiving. Actually, a pretty decent game. The Raiders 5-5 at the Cowboys. Cowboys are -7.5 right now.
Okay.
Now the Raiders kind of in a free fall. Cowboys looking to rebound after losing to the Chiefs last week. Who you got? Prop?
I see it up to 8 right now.
Yeah, it's moving up. Well, and the betting public loves the Cowboys, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with the Raiders to cover.
I am too.
Cover the points.
I'll take the Cowboys and I'll lay the points.
Right.
I think the Cowboys win by double digits.
Nope, I'm taking the points with the Raiders.
Raiders are a dumpster fire right now, and the Cowboys are coming off the loss last week, so they'll rebound. They love Thanksgiving. I'll take the Cowboys.
I'm not saying the Raiders are going to win. I'm saying they're going to lose by 7.
Yeah, I understand.
Points.
I understand how the point spread works.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm hoping.
Got a first time around here.
Cover, I
understand how the point spread works.
No,
so I'm saying the Cowboys are going to cover. I will take it all the way up to 9.5.
I'm not saying.
I think so, Jack. I probably think that you're probably right, but I also think that we do this with the Dallas Cowboys every year on Thanksgiving, because we've just grown up with watching the Cowboys play on Thanksgiving. And it's like, hey, this is their big game. This is like their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So what?
And we do this every year. So I haven't looked it up, but I'd be really curious to see what their ATS is on Thanksgiving.
I'll do it, and we'll put it up when we put the video up, because that's a good point. You probably won't be able to find it because that's like kind of
last year's Thanksgiving game.
Well, no, like not just last year. Like historically, what are the Cowboys' ATS on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that'd be great to know. Like, what's their record? Or are they like 20-5 the last 25 years? Like,
right.
That'd be great to know. Well, I mean, then again, you want to know, do they cover the points?
Well, that's what we said. ATS.
I do know the Cowboys were 8-1.
ATS. Yeah, yes. That's another reason why I'm taking them, because they're
Tell him what ATS stands for, please.
They didn't cover the points last week, though, so they're 2 games in a row they haven't covered.
That's right.
Okay.
They're coming back to the mean a little bit.
So they're 0-2.
Tell them what ATS is.
Yeah, ATS is against the spread.
Against the spread. ATS.
All right. Last game, the night game. Also, interesting game. 2 new faces, really, for Thanksgiving, kind of. So the Bills at the Saints. Bills are 6-4. Everybody keeps waiting for the Bills to be like a top team in the AFC, and they keep, taking a shit on the floor.
Yeah, they do.
The Saints 5-5, pretty still banged up on the offensive side of the ball. Bills -6. Who do you guys like? Earl, you start.
Oh boy. I mean, depends. I mean, I want to know if Kamara's coming back. I mean, if he comes back,
short week.
Well, it's not a short week. He didn't play last week.
It's a short week for the team. I'm saying.
Yeah, what's a long week?
You got to make that decision tomorrow instead of making it on Friday.
Now
is what I'm
Taysom
saying.
Hill playing? I mean, Taysom Hill got a big deal. Like,
that's a weird one.
It's like,
too.
why the fuck did you pay?
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Taysom Hill, $80 million.
Sean Payton loves that guy.
It's like, dude, he stinks. I mean, he's a gadget quarterback. So anyway, I gotta stick with the Bills, man. I got him on my fantasy football team. My one fantasy football team is called Bills Mafia. So I just can't root against the team. I gotta stick with my guns. I gotta be a homer pick, going with the Bills.
I like the Bills too.
Earl always finds his way back to fantasy, doesn't he, Prof?
Well, I mean, just imagine me thinking, I picked the Saints though, and I'm rooting against my fantasy team. I just can't have 2.
I like the Bills too. These are always like wild card games. Like you always have the Lions, you always have the Cowboys, and then they throw you the wild card game. Yep. I mean, I remember I used to love when the Eagles played in these games.
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah. There's some classic Eagles Thanksgiving games. So unfortunately, we're gonna have a sweep here because I'm not gonna take the Saints. I'm gonna lay the points, and I will play with the Bills as well.
I want to say one more thing though. So let's just say I got the fantasy team and I picked the Saints. So that means I'm going to win in one of them.
Well, there you go.
Maybe I should hedge my bet here.
Right. Otherwise, if you're both on ball or both wrong on both, it's like a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, exactly. So
But
maybe
listen, I mean-
how about I go to Saints?
There you go. We got one guy on the Saints.
Listen,
Is
the
that-
Bills. It's not a bad pick because the Bills have looked terrible.
The Bills have looked awful.
Is that a legal switcheroo there?
We'll allow it.
You allow it?
We'll
Okay,
allow it.
I'll go Saints.
You go Saints.
Like I said, at least somebody will win for me over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotta have
You can
it.
go Saints.
I can't go 0-3. I'll go 1-2.
It's high
At least I got a percentage. At least I got an average.
Earl's got high aspirations there.
Well,
to
that's
go
what, he
one
do.
and
That's, what
two.
he, that's what it's called. Hedge your bets.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So,
Yeah,
not
you-
wrong.
Plus, the Saints are at home too. It's tough to play in that Superdome.
The Saints are at home. This is a fact.
That
The
is a
Saints are at
factor.
home.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's all I got. You guys got anything else? Anything else you guys want to cover before we start to play some music?
No, the Flyers are probably getting spanked right now by the Tampa Bay Lightning.
The last time I checked, they were losing by 1.
Nah, they were losing by 2 when I came down here.
Oh, boy.
That's
Do
an
they get-
example. So that's an example of a team, the Tampa Bay Lightning, really, really good, and you have really bad fans. Like,
I mean, all I know
I
is
hate that.
Carter Hart, they got Giroux.
Why is Tampa Bay getting all these good sports teams? They got the Lightning. They got the.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I
they don't
don't
deserve it. They
I don't know
deserve
what it is, but
It's just for time.
they are a really good hockey team.
And the Rays are good all of a sudden. Like all of a sudden, Tampa
Rays
Bay
are
is just
good.
like this is crazy.
I also want to say the Sixers won last night against Sacramento. Andre Drummond loves getting rebounds.
He sure does.
He got 23 of them.
And we didn't talk anything about LeBron tonight.
Oh,
Ron! Oh,
dude.
yeah. That was a
Nice.
crazy ass fight, man. Dude, that was a legit fucking punch he threw at him.
He turned and socked.
Yeah, it
him.
absolutely was.
definitely
Did he
He's
get
like, "Oh,
suspended
my bad, I
yet?
didn't mean to do it.
Did he get suspended yet, or what?
One game he did.
Yeah, one game.
The other
That's
guy
all?
got 2.
That was not even as harsh as my ejection from Norristown softball.
How about that?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks everybody for hopping on the live stream and checking in. Prof Earl and I really appreciate it. You know, as always, I got to give you the spiel. Please do us a favor, like the videos, share the videos. If you haven't already, check us out on YouTube and the iTunes podcast application. Also coming soon. Where are we going, Earl?
We're going TikTok, man. I already started on TikTok a little bit.
That's
too,
right, Earl.
and Spotify.
Earl's getting his TikTok and Spotify.
TikTok, you know,
Remember?
we're getting all the highlights on there. You can follow me at
There is a
24197.
there is a TikTok story
It's on the side
inside
of 24197.
inside the Alabama football locker room. You
Okay.
got to see this. How these guys live, unbelievable.
Like kings.
What do you mean? They live at Kings?
Like kings.
Like
The
kings.
locker room is
So they
unreal.
live like me, right?
Yeah, you,
Yeah.
you couldn't afford the chairs that they have sitting in their locker.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a metal chair. My ass.
Before these guys rudely interrupted, make sure you search from _the_ hill. Put it in quotations so you don't miss it. We're going to try and keep this going on a regular basis. Good to have Prof back. And Earl, as always,
Yeah.
we're getting out of here, everybody. Enjoy Thanksgiving. We'll check back hopefully this weekend. We're going to try and get one in if we can all get together. If not, check the Thanksgiving picks. We got big college football action this weekend and Eagles-Giants Sunday. It's going to be a good weekend.
Yeah, I'll say if I don't say anything after than this, I'll say Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Me and Earl are golfing on Saturday. We'll
Oh,
get you some
yeah.
Insta Live.
We got high hopes for me. The last time I got, they had a 79. We're hoping for big things.
Prof, you better keep him honest. I think it is 79s coming out of
Swear-
Earl.
No foot wedges at all. Swear to God.
All right, we're out of here,
I
everybody.
just hope he tucks his shirt in.
Nah, I don't talk it.
See ya.
Gotta talk.
It's gonna be like 35 degrees.
Gotta
man.
talk,
It's gonna be
bro.
Cold as fuck.
Gotta
I'll be
talk.
there, buddy.
Gotta talk.
Nah, I don't talk.